What it do, what it is, what it ain't. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Get Right Podcast. Don't forget to follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to get notifications of new content. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you dig? Cue the music.
Yo, it's your boy DC in the place to be, aka Mr. Misconception. I'm with the homie Rod, aka the Brain Trust. What's good, bro?
What up, though?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, shout out to the homie T. Unfortunately, couldn't be with us today, but we still gonna rock. And I had to throw out that yo as a tribute to the homie. Salute to the homie T. But we gonna kick this thing off. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What's been good with you though, Rod?
Hey man, chilling, man. I am feeling really good. I know we had a week off. 2/3 of us are here trying to represent because one of our brothers is out. Grieving and going through some family things. So again, you just said it. Shout out to our brother T. Love and prayers to you and your family, man, through all your difficult times here. So, but for me, man, I've been cooling, bro. Like I'm feeling good. Michigan football is riding high. We made the college football playoffs. Yeah, man. So that was amazing. Win the Big Ten championship on the birthday weekend. So I was feeling good about that.
Nice birthday present.
Yeah, man. And our Lions, man, my Lions, I should say. My Lions are, bro, we making some noise, man. I know we recording right now on a Sunday. We just got another dub. We almost 500, and I know that sounds crazy to be like, "Oh man, you're almost 500," but we started 1-6, bro. Now we're 6-7. Could have been 7-6 if Thanksgiving that Buffalo game kind of took us out. But sports wise, I'm feeling good, man. And yeah, we here, bro.
That's crazy. Well, I know we talking about college, but I got to talk about my boys, man. You know what I'm saying? The Cowboys won. They pulled it out. Against the Texans, man. Texans was like 1-10, and they barely won in the fourth quarter. But you know what, bro? That's football. Like I've been on social media before he jumped on this thing, and people are like, "Oh, they barely won." Woo woo woo. But Texans pushed a couple teams to the brink.
Yeah, it's the NFL, bro. Like,
right.
I know people like the diss teams, and my team is usually on the end of that joke, but when you look at even in our bad years, like even when we went 0-16, I think every game, if I recall, every game was within one score. You know what I mean? So, but that's the league. At any moment, it's not like college. You're going to see a team just blow somebody out by 3-4 touchdowns. That's just like these are professional players. So, any given Sunday, point intended, right?
Shout
any given Sunday,
his favorite movie,
right? So yeah, but that's true. On any given Sunday, anything can happen when you're talking about professionals because they all in the NFL for a reason.
Exactly, and that's what I be saying to people, man. Except unless you're the Colts, because Dallas beat the brakes off them Colts.
Yeah,
but what's crazy? Even with that game, it really wasn't a blowout until the fourth quarter. It just Cowboys just went off. Like if it wasn't for that fourth quarter, it actually was a tight game for the most part.
Yeah, and that's usually what you see, man. So, shout out to your Cowboys, bro. Like, we'll see if they can actually make some noise because they always have solid seasons, but can't get that playoff win. So we'll see what they do.
We making noise this year, bro. I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. So there has been probably the last maybe 4 years. It was around the time Kaepernick took a knee. Honestly, I had kind of fell back from the NFL. Maybe the season prior. Like I would still watch the Cowboys, but I just found myself losing interest because I'm a Cowboys for life, y'all. For y'all who don't know, but bro, let's just real talk. When your team has been like pretty much not doing anything for 30 years, because we ain't won since 95, and we ain't even sniffed the Super Bowl since 95. So we talking about almost 30 years. It's tough to kind of just get that, hey, let's go every single season. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Like I don't know how you do it as a Lions fan.
Uh, hey, man, it takes practice, bro.
Yeah, but I kind of fell back, right? So, but then also, I found that it just seemed like there was a curse, bro. Like every time in the last 4 or 5 seasons, when I would watch a Cowboys game, we would lose. And we would
Hmm.
lose in some kind of embarrassing, nonsensical fashion that just should not happen. And then if there was ever a game I missed or they didn't show it on our side of the country, we won.
Mm.
So after a while, between part of it was Kaepernick, but even after that was over, and I was just like back in the league, like following all the time, bro. Like whenever I watched, they would just lose. It would just be stupid, just dumb shit be happening, stuff that like just weird stuff would just happen, and we would take L's. And so after a while, I just stopped watching, bro. I stopped watching games, and sure enough, the games that I didn't watch, we would win for the most part. We lost
Hmm.
sometimes, but then every time I watched, we would lose. Well, this season, this last 3 games, bro, I watched the Cowboys win. I watched the Thanksgiving game, the game after that, and then this one just today. You know what I'm saying? And we 3-0 since I've been watching, bro. So I'm gonna say it, man. The curse is over, man. The
There you
DC
go.
Dallas Cowboys curse is over. We going all the way.
There you go.
Yeah. Actually, let me not say that because I want to jinx it. I'm just happy we're winning. We may or
Yeah.
may not win the Super Bowl. I am just happy that we are winning. Football gods, don't jinx me. I'm not claiming nothing. Just we okay. You know what I'm saying?
I know the feeling, Dub. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that we just stay the course, somehow sneak in the playoffs, and then I'll take it from there, bro.
Yeah. It's crazy. I didn't know that though. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew that Detroit wasn't all that good, but I did not realize that they came in 1-6 and just went on this crazy win streak since. I didn't
Yeah.
even know that.
Yeah. And it's about time, man. Like the team was much better than, and I can say this every year, the team is better than what their record usually shows. And like winning culture is real, I believe, Doug. So it,
For
it's
sure.
it's hard to like, and we'll talk about this too, but that's why what makes Deion Sanders and what he was doing at Jackson State so amazing is because you can bring players in, but that doesn't automatically mean you learn how to win. You know, to learn how to win, you hear it all the time in sports. We got to create a winning culture, and that's a real thing, bro. Like
Facts.
you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't know how to win and get over that hump, like you won't go anywhere. You'll continue that same cycle. So I know Dion did an amazing job at Jackson State with that, and you know that's what kind of elevated him to this Colorado job. Which let's talk about that for a little bit because Dion actually been getting a lot of heat, bro, from switching over, which happens all the time in college football. But
Right.
this one kind of hit the black community and the culture harder than any other normal coach just because of what Prime was preaching, bro. And there's been a lot of people going in, like I said, bro. So what's your thoughts on this whole Prime leaving Jackson State thing?
Yeah. So I mean, I'll be honest. I was disappointed to to hear that he was going to be leaving. I did feel like it was. I felt like Kobe, job not finished. You remember that
Mm-hmm.
that press conference?
Yep.
Job not finished. And I did feel like the job wasn't finished.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna go to the level of I hate this man. I'm not gonna call this man a sellout. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say he was there just for the money. And honestly, bro, the more that I have learned about what's been going on in the background, allegedly, because I don't think anything official has come out. It might all be rumors. But, bro, but to me, this man, while it'd be nice if he stayed maybe 3 more years, I don't blame him for leaving, especially kind of knowing some of the things that we might know. So I don't know if you heard about the mismanaging of funds that JSU got all this money, like TV money,
Mm-hmm.
all these different deals, and they weren't taking any of that money and putting it into the athletic department. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So they were basically reaping the benefits of everything Dion brought to the table, but wasn't trying to put anything back into it. You know what I'm saying? He got his salary, I think, was like 300,000 a year, I believe, something like
Hmm.
that. He used half his salary to put money back into the football team to upgrade the locker room. He got Walmart to build him a practice field. He got him uniforms. He just upgraded everything, partially with
Yeah.
his network and partially with his own money out of his pocket, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah. And it got names on their jerseys and everything.
Right. And then lastly, and I don't know if you heard about this, but allegedly, and actually, I don't even know if it's alleged because he said this at a press conference that the ticket sales wasn't adding up. You know,
Hmm.
apparently he had a clause in his contract where if they sold um anytime they sold 30,000 tickets, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, then he would get some kind of bonus. Well, of course, you know, Jackson State games, they all been sold out. He's prime time. People gonna show up just because of him.
Hmm.
So all the games are sold out. I mean, you can see it if you have eyes. You watch the TV, stands are packed. But
Yep.
yet Jackson State kept on saying, "Oh no, no, you didn't hit 30. You didn't hit 30. You're just a little bit short, just a little bit short." And he addressed that himself. He's like, "Man, I got eyes like everybody else. Them stadiums packed.
Yeah.
So if them stadiums packed, that means somebody's stealing and y'all messing up my money."
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, you add all that up, and then he decides he's gonna go to Colorado. And oh, by the way, he's gonna bring some of his own kids. He's
Yep.
gonna bring some of his own stats, and stats, his staff, excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, he is still prime time, meaning he's still gonna look out for his own. He's just doing
Exactly.
it, elsewhere. So while yes, I was initially disappointed, um, I get it. The more facts come out, and I'm still team prime time, bro. And honestly,
Hmm.
this that whole money thing, bro. That I hate to say, but that's a plague across a lot of HBCUs.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not surprising to hear you say that because I've heard stories like that in the past, and for for unfortunate reasons, um, I think that run that he was starting, where you said job not finished, I think that was cut short because of the business, right? You can't expect somebody to stay in bad business just because it's us, you know what I mean? Just
right,
because it's black people. And I think we do that just in general. Like we expect people to take terrible contracts and stick with managers and not run to the white man, as they say it, right?
yeah,
When the business is not right. You have to have the business right in order to progress as a man, because now you're taking advantage of me and the things that I bring, the value that I bring. And he brought a hell of a lot of value, bro. Like, just think about this. College game day was at a Jackson State University game, bro.
bro. Come on, dog. Yeah, that's unheard of. That don't happen.
Unheard of.
Yeah,
Like, I see all these tweets talking about JSU was here before Prime and JSU will be here after. That is true. But JSU would not have any exposure outside of Prime, bro. Like, to be honest
none.
with you, I've never watched a Jackson State game before Dion came.
Never,
Never,
bro. I ain't gonna
never.
lie. I know about HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are very. I went kind of Afrocentric, so I've always known. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up knowing about them. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I've never even heard of Jackson State until Dion, because there's a lot of HBCUs. It's like 100
There's a
of them.
lot. Yeah, 100%, hundred
You know what I'm
percent.
saying?
But
And
you're
don't kill me,
used to
y'all,
the.
but I don't even heard of Jackson State until Prime.
Yeah, yeah. I heard of them, but I've never watched a game. I've never looked into them. Like, to be honest, man. Like, my family is from Louisiana, so the
Okay.
Bayou Classic was huge for me growing up. Like,
Okay.
majority of my family either went to Grambling or Southern, so we used to watch the Bayou Classic every single year, and that's the only HBCU game I would ever watch. So there was no Tennessee States, there was no Hamptons, Howards. I didn't watch any of those, like
Nah.
none of them. The only thing I watched was the Bayou Classic because of the connection that I had from family. You know what I mean? Outside of that, like a lot of the games, and people are gonna kill me for saying this, but some high school games were more entertaining than some of those college football games that I used to watch, bro.
Facts.
And we've come a long way, and a lot of that, it was starting probably before Prime, but a lot of it elevated before Prime. When Prime came, you didn't hear D1 athletes, and damn near not going to hear a 5-star recruit picking a HBCU over some of these Power 5 conferences, bro. Like that just did not happen. And
No,
yeah, they're probably going to leave now with Prime. However, it was, what was he there? 3 years, 4 years,
three. He did three.
three.
Three
So
seasons. Yeah.
it was a 3-year turnaround where kids who probably made it to the league because of Prime status and the attention that he brought, that those kids probably would have never been able to even enter a combine. He did a hell of a lot of good in those 3 years and made an impact in those 3 years. I know the job again could have been done at a higher clip, like bringing in more coaches to help bring more exposure. But if the business not right, bro, I can't be mad at you, man. Like you said, I'm still gonna rock with him. I hope he do well at Colorado, just because I mean, Prime is he's proven one that he's a hell of a coach because he brought a winning culture to a team that you and I knew nothing about, right? Like I'm
That's right.
assuming they were trash before he got there,
Of course.
and he took them to damn near what, back-to-back SWAC championships,
That's
was it?
right. Back to back SWAC champs.
Yeah.
Undefeated season this season. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah,
hey,
man. That's kudos, bro. Like, yeah, it is disappointing because you want to see us get better, but we have to do better also, right? We have to do better business if that was the case. Again, that's one-sided, but it's not unbelievable to hear.
it's not unbelievable, and bro, it's par for the course. Unfortunately, with HBCUs, I live here in Columbia. Benedict College is here in Columbia. Yeah, Benedict College, Allen University. Allen is very small.
Hmm.
And then you got SC State, which is big down in Orangeburg, and Claflin, which is like a sister college. Now,
Hmm.
SC State is a big boy around here. But I say that to say this: there have been times with Benedict and maybe State, they would lose their accreditation, and they
Mm.
had to fight to get their accreditation back. Bro, imagine going to college for 4 years and your and your degree don't count. You know what I mean?
Crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's wild.
yeah, and this would happen like fairly often, bro. And when I mean like every few years, kind of sort of. At least it seemed that way because it would make the news whenever it would happen, man. And we just need, I think, a change in leadership. Because
Hmm.
on that note, Dr. Umar Johnson went on Breakfast Club and started talking crazy about Dion.
That's your
You
boy.
know, bruh, when the truth don't work, they start telling lies.
Hmm.
Bruh, this man, he's like, oh, Dion didn't say he was going to do this. And Charlemagne even say, he's like, well, no, Dion did say that he would go to a Power Five. Well, he said he would entertain
Yeah.
going to a Power Five school. No, he ain't never say that. I didn't see that. Bro, it was on 60 Minutes, CNN. Like, what are we arguing against? Like, he
Yeah.
really argued that, like, nah, that's not what I saw. Come on, bro. Like that. He said, but even if that's the case, he still should have stayed. Now, mind you, Charlemagne, I don't think really touched on the stuff that Jackson State wasn't doing. I think
Hmm.
it was just more so about Dion and his choices and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I don't like Umar, bro. I think we've kind of talked about that already.
Yeah.
But I don't like that man, bro. He makes some good points about some things, but he just says so much nonsense, bro.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, bro.
There you go.
Yeah, he be on some other stuff. I don't rock with him either. And it's funny because when he first started hitting the scene, I was like, oh man, this brother is intelligent, dope. Like I was all by it. Then I started like listening. Man, clown shoes, bro. Give him some clown shoes because he false, bro. He a false
Yeah,
prophet.
yeah,
And I agree that I don't recall, at least I don't recall Dion ever saying that he was at Jackson State to stay. You know what I mean? Like that would be foolish because
right.
he made a very valid statement. He said in coaching, either you're elevated or terminated.
Terminated.
And
Yep.
that is accurate. Like you can't get more accurate than that because that we see it all the time.
All
Yeah.
the time. Don't even think about it.
Don't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's funny. Jim Harbaugh, and not to change the subject, but just to make a point, Jim Harbaugh 2 years ago, people were calling for his head, right? They were at Michigan. They wanted him fired. He wasn't getting the job done. And granted, in those, what was that, 7 seasons or 6 seasons that led up to that point, he had multiple 10-win seasons where, the previous 7 years before he got there, Michigan was trash, like terrible. We had like one good season out of 8 years.
Yeah.
And he came and elevated the program to where it was at least in contention. Yeah, we weren't beating the big boys, but we were beating the people we were supposed to beat, which wasn't happening before he got there.
Right.
So the everybody was calling for him to be fired. We cut his contract, and right after that, after the COVID season, he comes back, went 12-2 last year, with a loss to Michigan State and a loss in the college football playoff. So far this year, 13-0, have a chance to go win a national championship. And now everybody praise him. Oh, we can't lose him. Oh, we have to give him this contract extension. That just gives you an example of how coaching is such a cyclical type of role. Like it has to be a stressful role for one, because if you're not winning, and winning now, when boosters and alumni and all those guys expect you to win, then you're going to be gone. So it don't matter how big Prime name is. If he was to start losing at Jackson State, he would get canned quickly. You know what I mean?
Quick. And nobody would think, and that's the crazy thing, and nobody would think twice.
Nope.
And if he got fired, I guarantee you, Dr. Umar Johnson wouldn't be on no Breakfast Club talking about, why they fired the good brother Dion, just because he was losing football games. You know what I'm saying? That's your job. Your job is to win games. And like, even sorry to go back to Umar. This another thing this man said was, Dion should have been getting other NFL stars to come coach these HBCU teams so they can all elevate. And I'm like, bro, hold up. That is not how coaching works, sir.
Not at all.
This is a competition. Dion wants to beat all the other coaches.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want them to win. And by the way, Eddie George is a coach.
Eddie George is a coach.
Like, you're talking out your ass, dog. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and the reality is, just because you were a former player does not mean you can coach. Right? That's two different things, right?
Two different things.
I can recruit people to come in. That don't mean they're going to have success. That don't mean that they're going to get the spotlight. Like, I think people underestimate how big of a name Deion Sanders is, right? That is in the sport of football, that is a monumental name. Like, you're talking arguably the greatest defensive back to ever play the game ever, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, the persona of Prime is almost bigger than how great of a player he was. So when you combine those things, and he can coach too. Like, you're not going to just find that off the street and expect to plug and play in any HBCU with that type of personality, right? So I agree. Like, Umar just was speaking out the side of his neck with that one. Like, you can't just expect him to be able to bring people in there and beat him. Like, he's him for a reason. Right.
That's a fact. And another thing, as far as star players and star power, most superstar players are not good coaches. Usually the best coaches were like the bench warmers.
Yep.
They know the game. They were, they might have got to the professional level, like a Phil Jackson, for example.
Yeah.
But he was never a great player. He pretty much, came off the bench his whole career.
Exactly.
But he's got a mind for the game. Same thing I think with Jerry Sloan. I think he played in the NBA, but I don't, now this is where we need T, because T knows the sports, bro.
Right.
But I don't believe that Jerry Sloan was like a super duper, like a superstar.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I mean, and that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that just because you play the game doesn't mean your X's and O's and even strategizing on how to beat an opponent is going to be effective. So I think Deion did what's best for not only Deion, but hell, for those players that decided to roll with him as well. Like, that's going to give them more exposure. Again, you can't have 5-star recruits on your team and expect them to be, and maybe it could have happened down the road, but you can't expect them to be top. We'll just call it first round draft picks, bro. Like
Right.
the level of competition that these recruits are playing against is just not to the level of competition that they're going to get in the Power Five, and that stuff
Right.
matters, bro. Like that's the
Yeah.
reason coaches push players to, they'll push names out there to be in contention for the Heisman Trophy, because that elevates not only the player, it elevates your coaching style, your coaching status for more recruits, and it also elevates the school revenue, right? Which, again, if the school is doing it right, it's going to help upgrade the facilities and create more donors to contribute to that pot, basically. And I think people just don't understand the business. They don't understand the sport and the game and how that stuff works. But it is disappointing up front. But when you think about it and peel those layers back, it makes sense. Hey,
Yeah.
your time has come. You made a hell of an impact in the short amount of time that you were there. Like there's nobody else that was going to get that I can think of that was going to get College Game Day to appear at a HBCU. Like I don't care what Dion would have did after that. Probably could have got him back again, but I don't know. I doubt it, right? I don't care what he would have did after that. The impact that he's already made is far superior than the last 100 years of football that's been played at any of these schools. So in 3 years, his impact is made, and now it's time for him to move on.
Yeah. It's time to move on. And when you talk about impact, going back to SC State, SC State has a a great football team. I'm trying to think of a better
Mm-hmm.
word than great, but as far as HBCU goes, SC State is where it's at. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That's like cream of the
yeah,
crop, and it's been like that for quite some time, and never been on College Game Day. And
yeah.
unless you just know HBCUs, you wouldn't even know that. You know what I mean? So that, like, to kind of bring it back to your point as far as impact and bringing the visibility to the HBCUs, there are already talented coaches in
Mm-hmm.
the HBCU. There are already dominant coaches in the HBCUs, but none of them brought the kind of attention that Prime did. To your
Yeah,
point,
yep.
and another thing I'll say is, I see this narrative going on social media. It's like, oh well, Prime said he was going to save HBCUs. Well, he lied to us. Actually, that's a lie. He
Mm-hmm.
never said he was going to save HBCUs.
Right.
He said he was going to make sure the schools do right by the kids.
Yep.
That's what he said verbatim. And when you look at the fact that he got new locker rooms, new bathrooms, new practice field, new uniforms, and got him on College Game Day, this, that, and the third, I would say that he fulfilled his promise. You know what I mean?
Agreed. And out of
Yeah,
his pockets. A lot of it was out of his pockets, right?
out of his pocket, and wasn't getting reimbursed, and
Yeah.
never really complained outside of mentioning that he thought he was getting cheated on ticket sales.
Yeah.
So
Crazy, man. But that brings up another point too when you talk about ticket sales and exposure and those type of things. I don't know if you've been following, but we are in year 2, I believe, of this whole NIL thing in college football. And one, I think Colorado is going to definitely give him a better opportunity to recruit kids with that whole NIL presence. But when you look at the whole makeup of college football, NIL is, which is name, image, and likeness, and players can get paid off of their own name, image, and likeness. When you look at just the makeup and the trajectory of where we're going, is this going to ruin college football? Because now kids are getting paid not only if they're on scholarship, they're not only getting free tuition, free room and board, which would incorporate free meals as well. Now there are some schools that are guaranteeing kids a minimum of $30,000 to $40,000 just to be on the team. You know what I mean? So it's hard to it's hard to even imagine HBCUs aren't going to be able to keep up with that, right? That they can't even get the finances right from what you're telling me with Dion. So when you talk
yeah,
about kids and coming to play for you, um, is this ruining college football? In addition to that, it's creating a lot of buzz in this transfer portal as well, man. It's some like the wild, wild west out there in college football right now.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna ruin college football, bro. I just think that anytime you introduce a new wrinkle in the system, and this is a huge wrinkle, I think
Hmm.
it's going to be an adjustment period, bro. I like the NIL because before this, the complaint was the 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 college students are being taken advantage of.
Yep.
You got a multi-billion-dollar industry
Yep.
that's made off the backs of these kids who just get scholarship and some free food, and then that's
Yeah.
not enough. So honestly, I like it. I think that again, it's only been 2 years, and um, I think everyone has to figure it out.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that anytime you put out I have a little saying I like to say all the time: the first time is the worst time.
Hmm.
And anytime you put out something new, it's just going to be a little bit. I know you kind of mentioned offline that Texas A&M has a lot of players entering the transfer portal, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and it's
Yep.
interesting as to why. So you think that's tied to the NILs, or
Yeah. I mean, when you look back at last year, Texas A&M had the number one recruiting class by far, right? Like even Alabama was their coach, Tricky Nicky Saban was being very vocal. We'll call it. I'm not gonna say whining or nothing, but he was being very vocal about that situation. And when you look at it, like they brought in all these 5-star recruits, all these big names, they landed all these players, and they used NIL to do it. And their season wasn't good. Like let's just call it what it was. It was a bad season.
yeah,
And then you see after the season, all these players just jump ship. Like there was no loyalty. It just was straight. I'm gonna go to the portal, right? I think it was 22 players or something like that. Just jump in the portal. Like on a 53-man roster, that's a
it's
lot, bro.
crazy. Yeah,
That's a lot. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That is nuts. So all these players that were huge names that got paid to come and play. All right, things didn't go our way this year. We gonna jump ship and go somewhere else, right? It almost create this sense of okay, I only came to collect this check for this year, and then I'm gonna go play for where I really want to play, or like kids just couldn't handle the pressure of not winning and say, "Yep, this is not the place for me. I'm not going to face any adversity." It's hard to tell which one it is. It might be a little bit of both, but I think that's where it becomes dangerous is if you start paying these guys to come to your school. Now you got to figure out ways to keep them there, right? Like, and if you're not winning, I don't know what the other incentive is going to be for staying there outside of paying you more money or creating more revenue for you as a player. But then your school, if they continue to lose, don't recoup on that revenue. So how is that process going to continue to go? And it's early, and that's probably just one case. It may not be that way moving forward, but this year, I mean, their return on investment did not prove to be successful.
yeah. Well, so earlier in the pod, you mentioned something about winning culture and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think it's possible that that A&M they got some great recruiters over there, and they was able to get all this talent, but once these kids got there and they realized, you know what, this coach, this is not a winning culture. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they got the bag and this, that, and the third, but like, say what you want about Tricky. Now you call him Tricky Nicky earlier. Say what you want about Tricky Nicky Saban. The
Mm-hmm.
man is a winner. Everywhere he goes, he wins. So
Yeah.
he's got that winning culture. Granted, he does amass the talent, but he takes that talent and he maximizes it to get rings.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that the A&M thing could be an issue more so of not so much NIL, but the fact that the leadership, maybe they just had all that
Mm-hmm.
talent and didn't know what to do with it?
For sure. And I mean, Jimbo Fisher is not the greatest coach in the world, in my opinion. But you did see some success out of Texas A&M leading up to this year, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if it was the coach or not, or just the wrong group of individuals trying to be grouped together, right? I can't say that he's a terrible coach or a terrible leader because, like I said, he's had success at Texas A&M up to that point. I mean, last year they beat Alabama. They always were competitive,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
were damn near in the college football playoffs the last couple of years. So It's really hard to say. I just know this year was the first year where they really went all in on NIL, and it's ironic that they went all in on it, had an unsuccessful season, and then a good chunk of those players decided, yeah, this is not for me. So it's
Yeah,
maybe ironic, but or just a very crazy coincidence. But we'll see.
yeah.
Time will tell.
Now, real quick, the NIL, that money doesn't come from the schools, right? Because those are basically just sponsorships, right?
Yeah,
Endorsements,
yeah. It's
deals, kind
usually
of.
from the boosters. So
Yeah,
alumni is, from my understanding, the alumni are the ones who really pump into what these players are going to get. So it's not necessarily coming from the school's budget; it's coming from the donors.
yeah.
Um, it's it's interesting because kids have been getting money under the table for years. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right, right. Yeah, of
so
course.
so you would think it would actually be easier and more, I don't know, more simple now because now I don't have to sneak to give you an envelope. I just think of the program where, they just hand
Right,
you an envelope and it's like, okay, here we go.
right, right. Well, so let me ask you this, man, because it sounds like you a little bit skeptical of that NIL. Now, my thought is, even if we didn't have the NIL, we can't go back to the status quo.
No, we can't.
So if we didn't have the NIL, then what do we? I guess like if not that, then what? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, I'm not against NIL. I'm 100% for it.
Yeah,
I just think it has to be structured to it. Like if you're gonna put it out there, the NCAA is gonna have to regulate it, and every school needs to be aligned across the board. It can't be this school has guaranteed money for you, where this school you only certain players can get NIL money. Like it has to be some sort of baseline. Like with anything, right? There has to be a baseline to what schools are able to do, right? And you can give them some freedom with the, even if it's an allotment, right? You know what I mean? Like these are the budgets you're going to get based on, the media and donors and all that stuff.
yeah,
I don't have the answer to that, but I think the way we're doing it right now is it's going to hurt the careers of kids because now they're going to be bouncing from school to school trying to figure out how to get the most money when the ultimate goal is to get the long bag in the NFL, right? And
right.
I get it. For some kids, they know, look, I'm never going to reach the NFL, so let me get as much as I can right here, and that's cool, right? But
Yeah,
I think you have to have some sort of baseline to regulate it a little bit better.
yeah, or maybe even, and I don't know how legal or whatever. I'm just throwing this out there, but like if you sign an NIL, you got to commit to the school for 2 years or something like
Mm,
that. Like you can't just
mm,
snatch the money and go.
I
Because it's
like that.
almost like, yeah, because it's almost like, okay, well, maybe A&M just had a disappointing season, and the kids just, these kids, bro. I'm gonna tell you, there's a commitment issue with this generation, bro. Like
100%.
I'm starting to feel like an old head, like old man talk about these kids, but there is a legitimate commitment issue with the younger generation, and if it's like if you don't get it quick and
Hmm.
now and that feel good endorphins, then you just
Yep.
got to go. It's like happiness over everything else. So it's almost like maybe because A&M had a disappointing season and the players are as empowered as they are, maybe even
Hmm.
over empowered, they're just like, this doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Yep.
gonna leave.
Yeah, man. I agree. It's instant gratification, man. Like this
Yeah.
generation is, it's like masturbation, bro. Like that's what I'm gonna call this generation, bro. Like they
The masturbation generation. I like it.
masturbation get generation, right? They have to feel good and get theirs on their terms, bro. Like every time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm cooking with that one, bro. Like that
Yeah.
was,
I
yeah.
like that one, bro. You can save that one, bro.
It's like, man, but you're right. That is this generation, man, which is, it's scary to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's very scary, bro. Like, I
Yeah.
just think about, and not to switch the subject too much, but I just think about what you just said about this generation and jumping ship and wanting that instant gratification. If we were ever to have a draft for a war, bro, how would that work out? Like, that's gonna be scary.
Oh yeah. It would I think it would be massive protests
Yeah.
all across the country, and people would be calling it communism, or I don't know, they would come up with some kind of ism. I don't know if
Yeah.
communism would be the word, but I think it would be like mass protests. Like if like
Yep.
Vietnam, I don't think could ever happen today.
Yeah, man. I agree. I don't see how this generation stands up and fight, bro. Like
Yeah.
it don't register to me how that would work out. And I'm sure there's some out there that'll make it happen, but it would be very scary because other countries are definitely preparing for it, and they have the soldiers that, yeah, we willing to ride or die for whatever. We don't have that right now.
No, now we don't. Everything I think with us is about how comfortable I am in the moment, how happy I am in the moment. And you see that really in every facet of life. You see it, of course, on the football field with the NIL,
Hmm.
but you see it now with high turnover rates for jobs, and
Yep.
not just food service, not just the jobs that kind of nobody wants. It's all over the spectrum. You got people coming and going out of jobs where, there used to be a time where loyalty was a thing. Like I hire people.
Hmm.
Y'all know I do property management. I hire, bro. I see more and more resumes that have like a laundry list of jobs where
Yeah.
it didn't used to be that way. You know what I'm saying? And like when I say laundry list, I mean from January to March worked here, from
Yeah.
March to June worked here, from June to December worked like 3 jobs in 1 year, and I'm like, uh, and I would be passing on resumes. So I'm like, this person gonna leave, this person gonna leave. But then I would go through resumes. I'm like, God, dog, all these resumes are like this. Like
Yeah.
nobody just works jobs for a couple years, 3, 5 years, and then moves on. They just go and you see the same thing with relationships, bro.
Yep.
Like, if somebody gets bored, oh, I'm bored. I got to go, or this
Yep.
isn't matching my energy, or whatever it might be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like just that sense of commitment. Now, mind you, if you're in a relationship or at a job, you should be doing something that is fulfilling to
Yeah.
you. But to say that it should be fun or happy or you should just be on a high all day, it just doesn't work that way.
Nah.
There's a
Nah.
sense of duty. That's the word I'm looking for. It's the sense of duty, bro. Like
Hmm.
that we don't quite see in this generation that we've seen in the past. And I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah. Good point, man. I don't know at what point did that turn. Maybe it started with our generation, to be honest with you, but I think we're kind of that in between where we bridge. We still have hard workers. We still believe in, you know, a solid work ethic, and not to say that, these individuals are not great workers. They just, if something goes wrong, they don't mind fleeing, bro. Where us,
Right.
it was like if something go wrong, we just thug it out, bro. Like it's
Right.
you gon' you gonna face adversity wherever you go. So I'd rather face it here where I know where I stand versus trying to go somewhere else and start all over again. So just a
Yeah.
different mindset. And in some facets I can respect what they do, because they're not afraid to go out there and try something different and fail forward, as they would say, as long as it's with the ultimate purpose of, like, I need to land somewhere long term, right?
Yeah.
um I'm not mad if you work somewhere and like, yeah, that's not it, and you go get something else. But at what point do you say, all right, I need to see it through, or overcome the first 90 days to make sure that I'm not just over exaggerating.
Yeah. Yeah. Because this is the thing, bro. At some point, you got to look in the mirror. Just like you said, like
Hmm.
you might be working at a job and you have a bad boss or terrible work culture and you got to get
Hmm.
out of there. We all
Hmm.
get that.
Hmm.
But if you look at your resume and you didn't have 6 jobs in 2 years, it might not be those 6 jobs.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like all 6 of the places I hired you, they all trash. It ain't got nothing to do with the person in the mirror,
Mm.
you know. But I just think, yeah, it's the microwave generation. And unfortunately, I think it's even, to your point about the draft, I think it's permeating our government. I mean,
Mm.
even the Brittany Griner thing.
Hmm.
Um, you know, glad to see her home. I really am. I thought that she was unjustly detained or what have you.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see her home, but she was traded for an international illegal arms dealer.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, and to me, it's purely short term and purely political. You got Joe Biden, who is wildly unpopular. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And across his base and of course the on the other side of the aisle, we got an election year coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in a couple of years, we got one coming up in 2024. Well, but next year is really when all the ads are going to start ramping up and everything.
For sure.
And you got Brittany Griner, who's a black lesbian athlete, and now she's released. So now what I think he's trying to get the vote. I think he's trying to get that black vote. I think he's trying to get that LGBTQ plus vote. Forgive me if I forgot out a letter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's all it was. Because again, love to have her home, but bro, I don't know if y'all seen this movie Lord of War. It's based off of the guy
Yeah.
who they released. Now, mind you, it's a movie. It's fictional. It's not a documentary, but it is based on a true story. And if that movie is even 25% accurate, that was a stupid deal. Like, you don't
Mm.
trade a basketball player for somebody who sells guns, which, oh, by the way, this isn't something that you really got to retire from if you think
Right.
about it. Like, it ain't like Jordan. Jordan ain't got it no more, bro. He's what, 50, 60 years old. No matter what, like, he can't come back to the league.
Yeah.
He ain't got it. But to sell guns, but
Yeah.
you could do that till you 80 years old. All you need is connections.
For sure. For sure. I mean, Putin got the guy that he wanted, right? Apparently, he wasn't willing to make a deal for anybody else outside of her. And, I would hate to say a life for a life is not worth it because you want to see any American home. Like, it's good to see her back because, like you said, the charges she was brought up on and being detained over there was very minuscule in my opinion. But I'm not Russian. I don't live in Russia. I don't frequently travel to Russia, so I don't know what their laws are. If it's the law, it is what it is. We touched on that. I don't know if that was last season or earlier this season, but to get somebody back that basically can help with weapons, that's very scary.
Right. Now, my inner conspiracy theorist says that part of the reason they let him out is obviously political. But
Mm-hmm.
another thing is, I believe that man probably does some dirty work for our government. As in, there might be a government off in Africa or in I don't know, Asia somewhere or South America, that maybe there's some leader that we don't want or we don't like. So we get this arms dealer to sell
Mm-hmm.
our guns to the guerrilla warriors down there, so that
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to get our fingers dirty. So if something go wrong, we can say we ain't had nothing to do with it. It was
Mm-hmm.
that Russian guy who did it. A
Mm-hmm.
part of me wonders if that's what it was. I was like, let's just let him out because we got some secret wars we need to get some guns for, and this dude know how to make it happen.
Mm.
And we'll go ahead and get Brittany Griner back too, so we can keep Joe Biden in office.
It has to be something. You might be on to something, right? And if Big Brother is listening, we don't know what the hell we talking
Yeah, I don't
about, bro.
know.
Yeah,
I'm just
we don't
making
know.
stuff up.
Yeah,
It's just a
we don't
pod.
know.
I'm just trying to fill some time, y'all.
Exactly. But always there's always a end game, bro. Like I have to believe that there's always an end game to the decisions that's being made, and it's past just getting Joe elected again. You know what I mean? Because man, that's gonna take a Hail Mary to do, to be honest with you, if he don't somehow in the next year just turn this economy around, bro. Like the way that we're set up at this point and not even addressing any state of the unions or anything, that's gonna be a tough sell. So even getting Brittany back, I don't think that swings any new votes anywhere. But you can revert back to it and say, hey, I was able to get her home. But again, I don't know the impact that that's going to have. So I think there has to be a bigger end game in it versus just getting him reelected.
Yeah.
And what you just mentioned don't sound far fetched, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man. I mean, because even again, I know the movie was fictional, but even in the movie, like, he got caught. I don't know. Have you ever seen Lord of War?
I believe I've seen it. I have to go back. I can't remember it, but I remember the movie title, but I don't remember
Okay.
anything about the movie. I have to go back and watch it.
So I actually love that movie, bro. Like that movie, man, when it came out, it's got to be maybe 10 years old at this point,
Hmm.
maybe older, 15, 20 years old. And when it came out, I love that movie, bro. I watched it maybe 3, 4 times,
Yeah.
and it still comes on TV. And if I see it, I'll stop and I'll watch until like the next commercial break or something. And anyway, there was a particular law enforcement, I don't know, NSA or somebody who kept on chasing him, trying to catch him, and he finally caught him. And this was Nicolas Cage, by the way, for y'all don't know. He finally
Hmm.
caught Nicolas Cage, and he had him like in the interrogation room or whatever. It was Ethan. Who was it? Who was the dude from Training Day? Was it Ethan Hawke? Ethan
Yeah.
Hawke is his name.
Either
Yeah,
Hawk. Yep.
yeah. Ethan Hawke was chasing him around, and so they're in the interrogation room, and Ethan's like, "Yeah, I finally got you, mother." And Nick says, "Look, man, uh, I'm glad that you made it. I mean, I'm glad you caught me. I know this is a big deal for you, so congratulations. But this is what's going to happen." I said, "In a couple minutes, somebody's going to pull you outside, and they're going to say, 'Hey, you did a great job in getting this son of a bitch. You're going to get an award and this and the third, but we're going to have to let him go.
Hmm.
And I'm going to walk out of here in the next 5 minutes.'" And Ethan's like, "What? That's BS. No, you won't." He says, "Bro, I'm gonna tell you, I done did so much dirt for so many people that they don't want me in jail. You know what I'm saying? They don't want me in jail for what I know. And on top of that, this very government that caught me, I do dirty work for them too.
Mm.
So they would rather have me in the streets doing dirty work than have me in jail so you can get your little victory. So congrats for catching me, but I'm about to leave in a limo."
Wow.
And he did. That's what happened in the movie. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is the guy. Now, granted, that's fiction, but this is the guy y'all let out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely believe there's some stuff. There's some stuff
Yeah,
going on.
that's scary. But you know, shout out to Brittany Griner and her family, man. It is good to see her home. Hopefully, hopefully it's not something that's going to create a ripple effect that's going to come back to haunt us. But we'll see, man. Time will tell.
I will tell, bro.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yeah, man. But good stuff, man. One last thing I wanted to ask you. I know you probably haven't had a chance to dive into it, but I know you're a big SZA person, like I am. I
Yeah.
think SZA is a dope artist. Seems like a dope individual. She just dropped the album SOS on Friday. Now I listened to it as background music, so I couldn't tell you how the album is at this point, but you know, the things that I did catch, it sounded like it was pretty groovy, man. Like, how you feeling about it if you had a chance to listen?
Same, man. I didn't really get a chance to digest it and dive into it. I only listened to maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 tracks, something like that. But
Hmm.
what I heard, I liked. You know what I mean? I liked it a lot, man. I'll tell you, I'm a person that I don't really listen to a lot of female R&B.
Hmm.
Um, I respect the talent, like Mary J. Blige, and I'm not gonna name everybody because I'm gonna probably miss somebody,
Hmm.
but I got nothing respect for the sisters. But oftentimes they are singing, I just can't relate. You
Yep.
know what I mean? So I'm gonna listen to Tank. I'm gonna listen to Brent Fayez. I'm gonna listen to something like that because I feel like they saying something that I would say. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Whereas Mary J is not saying something that I would say. So that's why I don't really listen to a whole lot. But I say that to say this: SZA is one of those where she transcends that for me. And so
Hmm.
when she dropped her debut album, I was there for it. I loved it. I thought it was great, and I'm definitely kind of itching to get into that SZA album, bro. I'm gonna definitely jam it, and we gonna have to definitely touch on that. But
For
one
sure.
thing, yeah. But one thing I noticed though, I watched. She put out a couple music videos or something like that for the
Hmm.
album, and I watched the video. And what really kind of took me aback is it looked like she got a lot of work done, bro.
It does. It does. Looks like
Yeah,
looks like she got a little thicker in the backside, and them breasts look a little more out there. So it's
and them cheeks
definitely
are
some
sitting
enhancements.
higher.
Yeah, definitely some enhancements.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, bro, I'm disappointed only because like she all in my mind she already made it. Like she put out her debut album, because we put our
Hmm.
debut. She she always has some DSLs on her. You know what I'm saying? If y'all
Um,
don't know what DSLs, then Google it. I can't tell you. But
uh-huh.
she always had that, but she was never just stacked like that. She was always cute. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Always pretty, but she wasn't just bam, bam, bam stacked like that. But I didn't care because, of course, she had the talent, and it seemed like she was one of the few female artists, black artists, as in who will make like our kind of music, hip hop, R&B, that don't just rely on sex, that
Yeah.
don't just pose half naked to sell albums. Like she's like, no, I can write songs, I can sing, listen to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like a LMA or like a because LMA don't really get half naked either. Her,
No.
it's
Yeah.
another one. You know what I'm saying? So I always kind of put her in that category of artists who can be successful based off their talent alone, and they don't have to sell the sex. So
Yeah.
when I saw her with all the work done, I was just like, you didn't even have to do that. Like you one of the few who didn't have to do that.
Yep.
Now mind you, it's her personal decision. Who am I? This is just my outside observation. Um, but I was a little bit kind of disappointed that just that I don't know. I guess she felt she had to do that. You know what I mean? Again, it's her body. Just it's her body. She can do what she want. Obviously, maybe it was a confidence issue. Maybe it was a self-esteem issue. But SZA, if you ever find yourself listen to the Get Right podcast, sis, you don't need it. You don't, or you didn't need it. I'll say that. So
Yeah. No, I agree, man. That kind of changed. Just it seemed like it was just recent for this album because I sent, I think it was a tweet or something I sent to the pod text a couple months ago, and you kind of mentioned that. I was like, man, like what is going on with her? Why is this wasn't her before, and it looked like she got some work done. I'm like, she for sure got some work done, but
yeah,
I don't know what was the reason behind it because, like you said, she was already dope. She already had her name out there musically, and she still is not, at least from what I heard in this album, she's still not using sexualization to sell music with the lyrics, man. Like that's what people want to hear. So it is a little surprising that she did do that. Um,
yeah.
I hope it's nothing else that's coming, right? I hope it's nothing else that's going on, but I think she didn't need it.
Yeah, I don't think it's probably a confidence thing because, like I said, SZA is I follow her, and I remember when she did on the press when a press run for her first album, she talked about being insecure a lot,
Mm,
and she talked about even for her first album, she said she recorded like 200 songs, something like that, for her first album, because she just felt like everything she made wasn't good enough. You
mm,
know what I'm saying? Of course, if y'all listen to that debut album, it was amazing. And but the point was that she said she's had confidence issues. She's always felt self-conscious and self-esteem and whatnot. And I guess I don't know. I guess a part of me always felt like, well, sis, you made it. You went
mm-hmm.
platinum. You got all these fans. You're doing these huge tours. Everybody loves you. Like you're good enough.
Yeah,
But it seems as if all the money did was kind of take her down that other path. And honestly, bro, one of my fears is that she becomes like Lil Kim.
yeah, oh,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like Lil Kim was never good enough, and she kept on going back to the doctor, and now she looks like, oof.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Agreed, bro. Yeah, so hopefully she don't go that extreme and go down that path. Shout out to you, SZA.
Yeah.
On another note, too, you mentioned her. I don't know if I've ever told y'all, but I'm a big Rihanna stan, bro. Like
Oh
when it
yeah.
comes to look, I would marry her in a heartbeat. Outside of my wife, my wife is
Yeah.
my wife, but she know Rihanna come and grab
Yeah.
me by the Johnson and say, "Come on, I'm
Hall
going, bro.
pass, of
Yeah,
course.
I'm
Yeah.
going. I have to."
Yeah.
Um, the little young girl that I that's kind of on her level as well. Her dog, like her is for me. I don't know what it is about that little girl. I mean, she no little girl. She's like 24 years old, but that young woman, that young
Uh-huh.
lady, she is cold to me. She is very cold
You
naturally
know what's
too.
crazy? I barely know what she looked like because she always got like her something's covered up, half her face. She's wearing
hmm
something big. Like she's another one of them. It's like, what does she actually look like? I think she's gotten more like you can see her now, but for a
Yeah,
long time,
She covered her face. Yeah,
Yeah.
big glasses and hair like over it, but she's very pretty and very talented. She's
Yes, she
going to be
is.
Belle in the Beauty and the Beast. I don't know what it is, like a play or something that's coming on Thursday. So you probably
Okay.
get to see her in that, bro.
Okay. That's what's
Yeah,
up, man. Man, you
yeah.
know who else I thought was I always thought was kind of mm, like an understated beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Janelle, is it Monroe?
Monet, Janelle
Monet,
Monet,
Janelle Monet.
Janae Yeah, yeah,
Janae,
yeah.
yeah, I'm jamming it up.
Janae.
But Janelle, I know her
Yeah,
first name is Janelle.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Uh,
She's flawless, bro.
Bro, Janelle is bad, dog. And like, because when she first came out, she made a point to kind of cover up because she said she wanted people to hear her and
Mm-hmm.
not just see her. But then once she got on, everybody knew and respected her craft. Then she did kind of turn that sexy up.
Yeah,
And I follow her on IG, bro. And woo, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
And she's multi-talented, bro. Sing, act,
yeah,
do all
all
type of
that.
things, bro. Dance, cold. I'm with
Yep,
you, bro. I
yep.
I put my stamp of approval on that one.
Yes, sir.
I got a long list. But we ain't gonna go through them, but
I know, right? Because we still got to go home.
yeah.
We gonna say, oh, so what you say about? Wife be like, oh, you got a little too excited at the end of that pod. You know how that goes, bro.
Yep, exactly. Hey man, but man, this has been great, man. Of course, we're missing our brother, but it's
For
always
sure.
cool to chop it, man. I know we missed a week. We got one more episode of this season. That's
Man,
crazy,
for
man.
real?
Yeah, we got one more
And this
after
season
this
two done blazed by.
blaze by. But I know we got holidays coming up, and
True.
things are gonna start moving at a faster pace over the next couple of weeks. But we got one more for the season. We'll lock it down and try to figure out how to get better for next season and keep this thing going, man. But as always, man, always appreciate you and what you do, man. It's always a joy.
Yeah, man. Likewise, man. You got something to send us off with?
Hey, man. You know what? I ain't gonna even say that one because that's
Now I want to hear it. You can tell me offline. I want to hear it now, though.
Yeah, that one might get a little backlash,
Yeah.
but you know what? I think almost what Prime said, bro. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to take his whole quote, but you know what I mean? Like your location is not always your destination, bro. Like that is a dope quote that
Yeah.
Prime said, you know what I mean? Like God directs you, but you know what I mean? The location you at is not always going to be your destination. So
Facts.
just remember that.
Facts, bro. Well, shoot, man. Again, bro, it's been a dope hour. T, you know what I'm saying? We miss you, bro. We gonna see you next time. But until then, cue the music.